Welcome back, everybody. Today we're diving into a topic that I think you'll agree is rapidly shaping our world, artificial intelligence. But we're not just going to be talking about AI in general. We're zeroing in on its use in the public sector.
Yeah, it's an important one to think about. We'll be exploring all the legal challenges and exciting opportunities that come with AI in government, using some really fascinating insights from a Spanish law firm.
Oh, cool. That's the firm's name.
MCHM Abogados. They're a multidisciplinary firm based in Almeria, but they work with clients across all of Spain, so they've got a pretty broad perspective on this whole complex issue.
So they've given us a lot to unpack then, I imagine.
They certainly have.
Okay, great. So where should we start with this?
Well, one of the big things they talk about is transparency. MCHM Abogados argues that transparency is essential for the ethical use of AI in government. But it's not just knowing that an algorithm is making decisions. It's about understanding how it gets to those decisions.
So it's not just about knowing that an AI is there, but knowing how it works.
Right.
Gotcha, okay.
Yeah. Think about it this way. Imagine you apply for some kind of government benefit and you get denied by an AI system.
Uh-oh.
Without transparency, you're totally left in the dark. No way to understand why you were rejected. That lack of understanding can really breed distrust, both in the system and in the government itself.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, it erodes the foundation of a well-functioning democracy, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it's about more than just efficiency, right? It's about ensuring fairness and making sure the public still trusts the government.
Right. So MCHM Abogados suggests some strategies for transparency then.
They do. A big one is documentation, like a recipe for how the AI system works. We need to know what data it's using, how that data is being processed, and the logic behind the algorithm.
So basically laying everything out in the open, no mysterious black boxes making decisions. But wouldn't that be a lot of paperwork?
Well, it certainly requires careful planning and good documentation. But remember, technology can also help us get this transparency. MCHM Abogados also suggests developing what are called explainable algorithms. Basically, these AI systems can explain their decisions in a way that people can understand.
Whoa, so the AI could actually tell us why it reached a certain conclusion.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, is that even possible with today's technology? I mean, the algorithms are so complex.
It's a field that's evolving super quickly, but it's definitely a good goal to have, right?
For sure.
Imagine an AI system that approves loans. An explainable algorithm might say, your loan was denied because your credit score is below 650 and your debt-to-income ratio is high. Instead of just being rejected, you would actually understand the reasons behind the decision.
Okay, now that would be a huge change. It would really empower people to understand and maybe even challenge AI decisions. But even if we had this transparency, couldn't there still be problems? What if a transparent AI makes a mistake?
You've hit on a really important point. Transparency is only one piece of the puzzle. Accountability is crucial as well. MCHM Abogados tackles this head-on, asking, who's responsible when an AI in the public sector messes up? Is it the programmer, the agency using it?
That is a tough question, especially as AI gets more and more autonomous and sophisticated. Trying to figure out who's legally responsible in those cases could get really complicated.
Exactly. And MCHM Abogados points to a few key accountability challenges that we should really be thinking about now.
Let's definitely dig into those then. This is where things get really interesting. Okay, so accountability. Where do we even start trying to untangle all this?
Well, MCHM Abogados points to a few specific challenges. One of the first ones is figuring out, legally who is responsible. Let's say an AI that manages traffic flow malfunctions.
Oh.
Yeah, and it causes, a really bad accident. Who would be liable in that situation? The developers, the city or whoever's using it, the people operating it. It gets really messy legally.
Wow. That's kind of scary to think about. And I bet as AI gets even more, woven into our lives, those lines are just going to get blurrier.
Totally. And that's why MCHM Abogados argues that we need clear legal frameworks, specifically designed to address AI in government. And they'd have to keep evolving as AI gets more advanced, to give us guidelines for accountability.
So new laws, new regulations, stuff like that. Sounds like a big job.
It is. But it's really important for building public trust, don't you think?
Oh, I see what you mean.
Imagine AI is used to, distribute food or medical supplies. If there are errors or biases in the system, it could be disastrous.
Right, yeah.
And without those legal frameworks in place, the people affected might not have any way to get justice.
It makes sense to do it proactively then. Protect people's rights and make sure AI is used for good. But even with all that, wouldn't we still need people, like actual humans, keeping an eye on things?
Oh, absolutely. MCHM Abogados is very clear about that. Human oversight is a must, especially for decisions that involve things like people's basic rights or their well-being, the big stuff. We can't just let AI decide those things.
Right, I get that. But what would that oversight look like? Do we need people reviewing every single decision an AI makes?
Well, it wouldn't have to be that, detailed, I don't think. It's more about having rules for when a human needs to step in. Maybe the AI flags something as potentially tricky, or if the decision is about super sensitive information, a human takes a look.
So finding a good balance, right, between using AI for the stuff it's good at, but keeping humans in the loop for the important things.
Yeah.
But wouldn't that mean training a whole new generation of government workers?
Well, you're right about that, and MCHM Abogados brings that up too. Public servants need the right knowledge and skills to work well with these AI systems. And that's not just tech skills. It's also about, ethics. Knowing when something might be biased, when to get someone else involved.
Okay, so like a workforce that understands the tech, but also, like you said, knows the ethics involved. But what about the rest of us, the general public? Do we have a role to play in all of this?
They actually do. MCHM Abogados talks about something called citizen participation, involving the public in how these AI systems are developed and how they're watched over, oversight.
That sounds really interesting. But how would that work? Most people aren't AI experts. How could we give meaningful input on something so complicated?
There are actually a lot of ways to do it. Governments could hold public meetings about new AI systems, asking people about the possible good and bad things. They could also have, citizen review boards to keep an eye on things and make sure the AIs are being used responsibly.
Oh, so making the whole process more open and democratic, acknowledging that these AI systems affect everyone, not just the people making them.
Exactly. MCHM Abogados argues that this kind of citizen engagement is super important for trust, for making sure these technologies actually serve the public good.
Yeah, I like that. It makes it feel like we're moving from AI being this scary, mysterious thing to something we can actually understand and have a say in.
Right. And that's why it's so important to keep talking about all of this. The more people understand, the better we can make sure AI is developed in a way that benefits everyone.
And that brings us to another really important point they make. It's not enough to just react to all this new AI stuff. We need to be thinking ahead, asking ourselves, what kind of world do we want? And can we use AI to get there?
Those are big questions. And they lead us to the main takeaway from MCHM Abogados. They're a big challenge to us. How can you, as a person, help shape the future of AI in a way that benefits society?
Yeah, it's a good reminder that we're not just watching all this happen. We have a choice, and now's the time to use it.
Absolutely.
What
The choices we make now about how we create and use AI, they'll affect everything. What kind of world we build for us and for everyone who comes after us.
It is exciting, but it's a little scary, too, to be honest. We're at the beginning of something really big. Yeah.
It is. But it also makes you realize we're not helpless.
Exactly. And that's a big part of MCHM Abogados' message. It's not just about, here are the problems. They're trying to show us a way forward where AI in government can work well and be ethical at the same time.
And it's not just up to them, right? It's everyone. It's the people making the laws, the tech people, people working in the government, regular people too, all working together.
Totally. It takes all of us. And it takes a willingness to talk to each other, and we all need to agree on the important things like transparency, accountability, letting regular people have a say.
Well, this has been a really, eye-opening deep dive, I think. We've learned a lot. We talked about some pretty complex stuff, like explainable algorithms and then the whole ethics side of things.
We did.
And I think, hopefully, we all have a better idea now of what's ahead of us, the good stuff and the challenges, too.
I agree. And I hope our listeners are ready to jump in. Not just watch AI happen, but really be a part of how it all goes. A big thanks to MCHM Abogados for giving us so much to think about. If anyone's interested in their work, check out their website.
And to our listeners, thanks for coming along on this journey with us. Keep asking questions, keep learning, and most importantly, keep talking about the future of AI, because it's not something that happens to us. It's something we make together,
So true. Until next time, keep diving deep, everyone.